Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They're international. I have had fabulous feedback from people using them. They like their therapists, which is hugely important. So thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, so current events. Holy crap, where to start? So the No Kings rally went really well. And the very next day, our traitor in chief decided to post a meme of him taking a dump all over the protesters, and more importantly, taking a dump on the American flag. That tells you everything about what him and his little group feel about America. Yeah, this is abuse. This is absolute abuse. We are in an abusive relationship with a malignant narcissist as the leader of this country. I'm sorry, I'm not the only one saying it. There are psychiatrists, psychologists, other PhDs, etc., who have said this before me. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this is not healthy, this is not good. So that happened. And then because it was such a great turnout, 7 million people, and they're estimating 10 million grand total, like the ones that couldn't because they were working or were afraid to, but wanted to, that kind of thing. So about 10 million people in all supporting, coming by, honking horns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In response to that, Trump decided to tear down the East Wing after promising that he would not touch the East Wing. It would be adjacent to. So if that man's, and I use the term man loosely, if those lips are moving, they're lying. He's a liar. Honestly, with a malignant narcissist, dark triad, control freak, antisocial narcissist, if their lips are moving, they are lying. You cannot believe anything that comes out of their mouth. Caveat, they will couch what they are going to do. They'll tell the truth, but it's so outrageous that people don't believe them. Oh, he would never do that. Oh, that would never happen. Oh, da, 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 da. Lord have mercy. Anyway, the East Wing was historical. No, presidents have not been begging for a ballroom for 150 years. That was a lie. Diana and John Travolta danced in the East Wing when she came over to America, Princess Diana. There was a historical piano that was in the East Wing. It is unknown at this time if they bothered removing any of the historical artifacts from the East Wing. And may I remind everybody, the White House does not belong to the president. It is the people's house. We pay for it. Now, here's something else that should scare the living crap out of you. A private donor donated $130 million to the military. Why? Well, the supposition is that, and Trump also said that the military was highly involved in the construction, or rather destruction, of the East Wing and the construction of the ballroom. There is a bunker underneath the East Wing. It is the safety bunker for if things go south worldwide and the president has a safe place to go and run the government. So that is concerning, because then that means the military can be bought and paid for. Also, the amount of money that was given was not enough to even cover 1 week's pay. So on that same line, I would like to point out that on November 1st, there will be no pay for our military. There will be no food stamps. There will be no emergency foods, nothing. Trump has shut down everything to help those who cannot afford food. Okay, that I find horrific. If you're going to call yourself a Christian, feed the poor. Feed the poor. I am planning on donating to the food banks until this gets resolved. I am not happy with this. I have military people I work with. All of them are freaking out. They've got kids, sometimes 4, 5, and 6 kids. And they're like, I haven't been paid. I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. I don't know where I'm going to get, food from. So I'm having to tell them, okay, here's St. Mary's Food Bank. Here's, go to this church, go to that church, that kind of thing. It is reprehensible to me that a president would behave in this manner, taking a crap, a diarrhea crap all over people peacefully protesting in a meme, tearing down a historic building, no permits, nothing was run by Congress. No, whoever that firm is that tore it down, they should be absolutely pushed out of business, 110%. So, yeah, and military people, government workers, etc., are not getting paid. People on SNAP are not going to get their food stamps. And let me tell you something: the myth is, oh well, it's people unwilling to work. Have y'all ever worked a job for minimum wage, $7.75, I think it is? Can you afford rent on that? Can you afford groceries on that, especially with all the tariffs? No, you can't. It is the working poor. A lot of people on food stamps are working poor. That's not okay. The rich billionaires who own Amazon and Walmart and all of these places are demanding that their workers make minimum wage, and their workers are having to go on food stamps in order to make ends meet. That's not okay. That is not okay. When I was growing up, people could make ends meet. But then oligarchies, the rich want to get richer because it's never enough. The world is not enough. Narcissists are a black abyss of never enough. They would rather burn it all down and rule over the ashes than to take one look in the mirror and admit they were wrong. That's what they do. Okay. So that is that. However, I think it's pretty telling that there's obviously fear on that part, because you don't put out a meme like that unless you're afraid. You also don't have a hissy fit and tear down a historical building without permits unless you're trying to punish somebody. And they're betting, or they're hoping, that the people who are being starved are going to come over to their side. It doesn't work that way, guys. Historically, never in the history of ever has that happened. And in fact, what ends up happening is, I don't know if you all heard of a little thing called the French Revolution. I don't know. Let them eat cake. Yeah, that went over really well. So anyway, there is that. If you are going to be missing your food stamps, you're worried about feeding the kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for the love of God and all that's holy, lean into the churches, Mormon churches, Catholic churches, Baptist churches. They need to put their freaking money where their freaking mouth is. Don't get me started. So lean into them, ask for help. Also go to the food banks. So there's St. Mary's Food Bank here in Phoenix. There's another one. Oh, my brain just left my body. Where'd it go? Lord have mercy. Anyway, just look up food banks near me and go and use them. Go and use them. No shame about that. You are literally being starved. You are literally being manipulated in this game of chess, or this game of checkers, given that I don't think he's smart enough to play chess, of political BS. So go take care of your family. Guys, if you can afford to donate to food banks, go do it. Okay. We're coming up on the holiday season. How freaking heartless do you have to be? How cruel do you have to be to deny kids food around, I don't know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's? What the frick? Not okay. Contact your representatives, even if they're Republican. Let them know. It's like, I see you. I see you, Mother Clucker. How is this Christian? How is this good? How is this supporting our country, you frickin' traitor? So that's what you need to do. You need to let them know, because if you don't, they're just going to keep in this little bubble of, everybody loves us. No, we don't. No, Mother Clucker, we don't. So anyway, there is that. He's screwing over the farmers. Thank you. The beef. So he just gave $40 billion to Argentina. Argentina. They're selling all their soy to China. They are screwing over our farmers here in America because their soy is going to China because we have these stupid tariffs. Also, I'd like to point out the Reagan ad that's been put out by Canada is real, is very real. This is Reagan talking. It is not AI. He did say that. and he was not okay with tariffs. However, he is the one that had the whole trickle down stuff start. So I blame him for that. But the point being, these people think Reagan is too woke. What the actual you know what I'm saying? So, and they think Jesus is too woke. Boy, are they going to be surprised when they meet their maker. Anyway, the point being, let us talk about, we are switching gears now. I'm trying to calm down. Let us talk about why leaving is so difficult. Why is it so hard? What is going on? Oh, so much. So, leaving is difficult and staying gone. I think that's the big thing. So it's like, I think people are, some people can leave, but then they end up coming back. So on average, it takes about 7 times leaving an abusive relationship before it sticks. So what is going on? So much. The abuser engages in psychological warfare. You need to understand that. Abusers love to do this thing called intermittent positive rewards. I love you. I love you. I love you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I love, hate, love, 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 hate, 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 love. So you start living for those times when they're normal or relatively normal, that kind of thing. So they get you used to up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, intermittent positive rewards. It's addictive. Why? Because when they're good, they stimulate the endorphins, dopamine, serotonins, norepinephrines, the whole thing, the feel-good chemicals, the oxytocins. Oh my God, they love me again. Oh, this is good. Oh, we're having all this wonderful sex and lots of physical touch, which means the oxytocins are being produced like crazy. And then they will withdraw. And you are left like a drug addict looking for a hit. That's why it's so difficult to leave. That's why it's difficult to stay gone. So physiologically, when they do the up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, they are training your body to be addicted to the dopamine hit. So when you do leave and you are gone from them, you are literally going through withdrawals, literally. And it makes me so angry when these therapists that don't understand science or physiology or basically anything, oh, they're addicted to the abuse. No, they're not. They're literally physically addicted to the dopamine hit. Absolutely. And the oxytocin. So abusers do this on purpose. This is why they love bomb. When they love bomb, they are just flooding the system with dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. When they're, physically all over you, oxytocin like crazy. They get you addicted to it, and then they withdraw. And then they come back. Oh my God, they're back. And then we're relieved. There's a relief. There's like that, relief. So when we finally go, oh God, no, this is not healthy. This is not good. And we leave, the abuser does one of several things. So abusers who are wanting to continue to have you as the narcissistic supply, okay, they will do the whole, driving by, giving, leaving flowers, calling you up, remember when, gosh, I miss you so much, and all of that. And you know what that does? That is intermittent abuse by proxy, because they're doing it, they're not there physically, but they're doing it mentally. They're doing it symbolically. They're doing it by leaving flowers, leaving messages, that kind of thing. So of course, that little part of us that's like in the throes of withdrawal is going to be like, oh God, okay, no, I don't want to call him. I don't want to call. No, I really do want to call him. Yeah, because you're in the middle of withdrawals. So that is why it is so difficult. So they do that. Now, the other thing that they can do too is they just completely peace out, gone, poof. And honestly, I sometimes think that that's a better option for survivors because they're gone. There's none of that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, they're just gone. But that still leaves us with withdrawals. We are going to miss the living crap out of them. Not what they did, but out of that time or those times when they were kind, when they were attentive, loving, nice, not yelling, not hitting, whatever. Leaving an abusive relationship is dangerous. I'm not going to lie to you. It is, because they're crazy. Just in case you weren't clear on that, they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay. There is something real wrong up here. So abusers can and do weird things. If you're dealing with a dark triad, which most of us who have been in an abusive relationship were, which is antisocial, psychopath, control freak, narcissist, they could stalk, they could threaten, because the thing you have to remember, this doesn't mean don't leave. I'm just telling you, be prepared. The thing you have to remember is a narcissist, a dark triad's deepest, darkest desire is to kill you. It's the ultimate power grab. I did that. I made them off themselves. I made them, so miserable that they checked out of life. Whatever. And guys, if you have questions, please put question so that I can then answer it in the question and answer period. So where was I? They want you dead. They want you dead. It's the ultimate. I did that. Seriously, you're not dealing with somebody who's rational. You're not dealing with somebody who's sane. You're not dealing with somebody who has empathy. They lack empathy. So for us survivors, when we are finally encouraged, we got courage, somebody encouraged us, either a therapist or a family member or a friend or whatever, to leave, and we leave, what nobody tells us is the withdrawal stuff. And that's why we keep going back. Now, let's talk about some specific things that make that happen. Hold on. So, okay, society normalizes unhealthy behavior, so you may not even recognize that you're in an abusive relationship. Let me tell you something now. If it hurts, it ain't love. Period. End. Full stop. If it's hurting you, if it's causing anxiety, if it's causing depression, if you feel like your self-esteem is going bye-bye, that ain't love. Somebody who loves you is going to support you emotionally, is going to be there for you, is going to be encouraging, supportive, loving, kind, fun, good sense of humor, not at the expense of somebody else. So a lot of times we don't even recognize we're in a bad relationship. Number two, how many movies, songs, oh my God, songs, where the person is singing about this other person that they desperately miss, and you're listening to the lyrics going, girl, you in danger, seriously, because it's like the one song I heard was when I was in Anaheim, and it said, he may be crazy, but he's my baby. And I'm like, oh, please make an appointment. We need to talk. Seriously. This is not healthy. No, thank you. So you got to realize there's a lot of really dysfunctional messages in general society, in movies. And, it's always that, oh, he hates me, but I can change him. No. Actions speak louder than words. If somebody is disrespectful to you, that is a form of not loving you. Love and respect, same thing. They're the same thing. If they don't respect you, they don't love you. If they don't love you, they don't respect you. So no. So you got to be careful about, what is your favorite movie? What is your favorite song? What is your favorite romantic novel to read? And what are the messages in those things? That's why I have such a hard time reading, or I used to read romance novels all the time. And then I finally went, God, this is just crap. Granted, I still like Scotsman, but the point being is that the messages that went along with that were, oh, it has to be difficult. Oh, it has to be, striving and difficult. And then once you finally win them over, oh, it's going to be wonderful. That is a load of crap. Either they like you or they don't, period. This whole everything has to be difficult thing. And it was funny because John and I were having this conversation the other day. I told him, I said, look, things that are meant to be tend to happen pretty easily. They just do, and things that are not meant to be, oh, I'm telling you, the universe, God, St. Michael, whoever, throws those roadblocks up going, hey, yo, wrong way. Don't, nope, go this way. Don't, no, go that way. So you've got to watch this whole thing about, oh, it needs to be difficult. No, it doesn't. Where did that come from? A healthy relationship is literally like putting on comfy jammies and comfy slippers, and it's just warm and cozy, and it's fun, and you eat popcorn and you laugh. That's what a good relationship is, and you respect each other. So, okay, so the leaving is difficult because we've got this societal thing going on that's telling us that we, ride or die. What? No, wrong, incorrect response. Listen, if somebody is being abusive, calling you names, that's abusive. Lying, that sure as hell is abusive. Gaslighting, like, for example, saying you're not going to tear down the East Wing and then you do. That is abusive. That is abuse. That is what a narcissist does. If they're constantly making you wrong, making you question yourself, question your reality, that is all abuse. Okay. That is not a healthy relationship. If they do that, you have the right to check out of that relationship and be like, peace out. See ya. Bye. Not putting up with it. Have a nice life. Have the life you deserve, that kind of thing. So, this ride or die thing. No, you do not put up with abuse. There's a quote, and I'm going to misquote it, but it's something about get rid of anything that offends your soul. And it was written by a poet, and I cannot think of his name, but I'll think of it at some point. Anyway, the point being is if it offends you, leave. I mean, you can bring it to the person's attention, but if they mock you, if they make you wrong, if they flip the script, if they poo-poo, or if they do it again, there you go. Leave. They're showing you who they are. And they're showing you how little they respect themselves, number one, and how little they respect you. Somebody who loves you is going to listen to what you say and work on whatever it is you brought to them. Somebody who doesn't love you is going to flip the script and make themselves the victim and you're the bad guy. Okay. So that ride or die attitude, that is what gets survivors of abuse into trouble. That societal, oh, stick by your, stand by your man. No, not if they're an abusive piece of, you know what I'm saying? So, and the same goes for women, abusive women. You do not need to stand by them. If they are abusive, you tell them you're being abusive, fix it. And if they don't, or if they flip the script or are violent or whatever, you leave. That life is too short. There are 8 billion people plus on the face of the planet. You cannot tell me this is the only person that is ever going to quote unquote love you. That's not love. Love is respect. Respect is love. There we go. Okay. All right. Getting back to other reasons why. Emotional abuse destroys self-esteem, making it impossible to have a fresh start. Yes. So you'll never find anyone who loves you like I do. That ain't love. What you should be saying is good, mother clucker. Hope I find somebody who treats me better. You jackwagon. Seriously. So they say things like that. Oh, nobody will ever love you. Nobody, you're lucky to have me. That kind of crap. And I'm just like, OMG. Okay. Glenn Schiraldi, the self-esteem workbook. Work on it. You have worth. You have worth. And you do not tolerate or put up with anything less than respect. There you go. All right. Cycle of abuse. After every abusive incident comes up the honeymoon phase. So again, intermittent positive rewards. We get addicted to that. And so there's a part of us, little magic thinking going on that's like, oh, well, but they'll come back and they'll be sorry. And how old are you in that moment? How old are you in that moment that you're hoping that they're going to come back and do a honeymoon phase and love bomb you again? How old are you? Who in your family did that to you? Inner Child Workbook, Catherine Taylor. Regaining the Inner Child by Lucia Capaccioni. How old are you? Work on that. That is something to think about. It's dangerous to leave, like very dangerous. Yes, they can be Dangerous and killers, absolutely. They'll stalk. They will try to smear you at work, and that prevents a lot of people from leaving because they're afraid of the flying monkeys. They're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of this person doing stuff. Listen, yes, it is dangerous, but it's more dangerous to stay. Do you know how many men and women die in domestic violence situations? A lot. A lot. Not good. And it's not when they're necessarily leaving either. The abuser becomes more, what's the word I'm looking for? Numbed to the abuse. And it takes more and more and more abuse for them to get their little jollies. So their cocaña is hurting you. Their cocaña, their narcissistic supply is watching you be in pain. But it takes more and more and more of that to give them that same sense of power, that same sense of high, to get their rocks off, basically hurting you. They do. They get off on it. And in Virginia Gough's memoir that she just put out, she talked about how Epstein moved into bondage and discipline, and that it got worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where she thought she was going to be killed. So yeah, that's what they do, because it no longer, the milder stuff no longer stimulates them, and they need something that's very close to killing their target of abuse, or killing their target of abuse, because that's ultimately what they want. So, okay. All right. So there is that fear. Absolutely. There is that fear, but you cannot allow the fear to rule you, because here's the deal. They're going to do it. If they're going to try to harm you, they're going to do it whether you stay in the relationship or whether you leave. And it's better to be out of the relationship and have as many eyes on the situation as possible. When you leave, you tell everybody. You tell everybody, and you let them know exactly what this person has done, and you let them know what they're doing. You tell your HR, you let them know, because that preempts them from doing a smear campaign. Because then when they come in to do it, oh yeah, Alice told me this was going to happen. Interesting. So there is that. So don't allow fear to stop you. The other thing that you need to do is, when you leave, get a restraining order on them if they start harassing you. If they start texting you and you've said, please don't text me. If they start calling you from burner phones, if they start leaving presents, if they start, contacting your family, get a restraining order. Now realize a restraining order is only a piece of paper and needs to be reinforced by you calling the police every single time something happens. Now, what I've been hearing from people is, okay, fine, I got a restraining order. The police are not doing anything. Get their badge number, turn them in. Loud wheel gets oiled. Talk to media. Publicize. Listen, silence only benefits an abuser. Whether that abuser is a police officer or whether that abuser is the ex or whatever. You must be loud. You must tell as many people as possible, and you must get as many people advocating for you as possible. Tell your therapist, seriously. It just make sure that people have got an eye on this 110%. So there is that. And yes, sometimes the police will be worse than useless. Absolutely. However, that's the only thing we really have is a restraining order. And some judges are great, and some judges are narcissists. Some police are great. Some police are narcissists. You got to do, and make sure you have an advocate. Make sure you have an advocate with you when you go to the court to file the restraining order. And make sure that you have an advocate with you when you have to report a violation of the restraining order. Get pepper spray. Take self-defense courses. I'm not kidding you. I feel so good knowing that I know martial arts. I can defend myself. If somebody comes at me, I will be okay, and they won't. So, have pepper spray or whatever your state allows. So that is what you want to do. You want to protect yourself as much as you can. Vary your routine. You don't want to do the same routine every single day. Vary it so that they don't know where you are or when. Guard your address like nobody's business. Domestic violence shelters will help you get a name change if you need to. kind of like witness protection program, you know. So there are all sorts of things that you can do to mitigate that. All right, back to this. How are we doing on time? I'm going to go a little bit over. Okay, the cycle of control. So they use guilt. They lie. They absolutely rewrite history. Well, you did this and you did that when it was them that did it. And you know, here you are hoping for an apology from them, but now they're flipping the script, demanding that you apologize to them. And your brain starts cooking like popcorn. And it's cognitive dissonance. So incoming information is not matching what you know. And instead of being able to sort through all of that absolute cow, horse, bull tinky, your brain just kind of goes, okay, and it turns into a cloud and you forget everything. It's called cognitive dissonance. So that's what they do. That is one of the psychological things that they do. They intentionally cause cognitive dissonance because then you're easier to manipulate. And cognitive dissonance does go away with therapy. When you know who you really are, rock solid, sun comes up in the east, sets in the west, you know who you are, it's really difficult for some of these jack wagons to do cognitive dissonance on you because you know who you are and you can hear the BS. You absolutely are able to go, well, that's, you know. So the cognitive dissonance does go away. You can train yourself to be able to go, oh, no, that's not true. What? So, but it takes therapy. It takes working on the self-esteem. It takes working on the inner child. It takes, you know, CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Get it, read it, do it. So yeah, so that's something that they do. Okay, we feel personally responsible for them and we feel guilty leaving. Oh, poor them. Oh, they're going to be alone and they won't be able to do whatever it was you did for them. No, you're not responsible for them. You are responsible for you and you alone. That is it. A healthy relationship is a partnership. This person's responsible for them. This person's responsible for them. And when they come together, it's great. And they help each other, absolutely. But they do not guilt trip. They do not make one partner responsible for the other. No. There's no guilt tripping. But that's what narcissists do. They love to guilt trip. They love to make people feel guilty because it's a manipulation and it gets them what they want. They want you to capitulate. They want you to obey in advance. They want you to feel guilty. Don't do it. Don't do it. You got nothing to feel guilty about. If they're not doing well, then you shouldn't have been an a-hole in our relationship. Have a nice life. And by that, have the life you deserve. You know what I'm saying? So don't fall for the poor me routine. You got to understand, narcissists will flip between whatever mode will work for them. They're just looking for an end. That's all they're looking for. So the overt narcissist, who's pounding their chest, look at how great I am, will flip into the victim mode. Oh, you hurt me so bad, crocodile tears. I can't tell you the number of times I have seen abusers come in, sit on my couch in a counseling session with their partner back in the day when I used to do couples counseling and do the crocodile tears, but there was no snot coming out of their nose. There were no actual tears in their eyes. I mean, they could make all the sounds. They could make it look like it, but they didn't really feel it. And you could tell because it would never reach their eyes. The emotion would never reach their eyes. So yeah, they do all of that. They are consummate actors. Holy crap. Con artists, grifters, you betcha. And they will say and do whatever it is they think they need to in order to get their supply back with them. But then what's going to happen is they are going to abuse the living crap out of you. How dare you leave? I'll show you. I'll fix your wagon. That's what they do because you left. You had the audacity to leave. How dare you? And then the cycle of abuse gets longer and the love bombing gets shorter. So that thing you were living for is now super short, but the discard and devaluation is much longer. So that's why it's so dangerous going back. It's dangerous psychologically. It's dangerous physically. You betcha. Okay. All right. social pressure to be in the perfect relationship, screw society as far as I'm concerned, fear of how others will react. Okay. So, what other people think of us is literally none of our business. The flying monkeys, the ones who are surrounding the abuser and supporting the abuser, are going to continue surrounding and supporting the abuser. They are not your friends. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but I lost so many friends. Were they really? Were they really friends? Did they make excuses for that person's behavior? Did they make excuses for them punching the couch next to your head? Did they make excuses for them accidentally letting your dog loose and not going to look for him? Really? Were they your friends? No, they were not. So, sycophants, flying monkeys, are generally one of two things. They are either people who just don't frickin' understand narcissistic abuse, but in this day and age, with how many people now finally are talking about it, I am not letting that one slide anymore. Or they are minor narcissists themselves and they are getting off on the drama. They're not your friend. You can make better friends. Trust me on that one. And it would be better to be alone for the right reasons than with somebody for the wrong. There you go. Okay. All right. Now, here is the big reason why people have a hard time leaving. You've got kids together. You've got property. You've got all of this stuff. And a lot of times I hear people go, I'm just going to wait until the kids are 18. What are you doing? What are you teaching those kids? To put up with abuse? I'm sorry, but you're role modeling for them how to be. Now, the fear is, oh, but if I leave, then they'll have them 50% of the time. Maybe. But what I see often, narcissists cannot be bothered to be parents. Like, seriously. So they will do things like give up their time, seriously, or they'll move far away and then only have the kids like for the summer, that kind of thing. So you want to have a good attorney, absolutely, when you are leaving so that you have the right of first refusal. They can't just turn the kids over to their newest boyfriend or girlfriend. That you have medical say, you talk to your attorney about all of this, but it is scary. Yeah, there is the real possibility of things going south, but you are role modeling for them how to be. And if you stay in that relationship, you're basically showing them that you're okay with the abuse, which then makes them go, oh, I guess that's what I need to do too. Because remember, kids model their relationships on what they see. So be very cognizant of that. Abusers will often use the kids as pawns. They'll try to do parental alienation. That can be a little scary. That's why also in the divorce decree, you demand that the kids get therapy, period. That they are allowed to have a therapist, the safe place where they can talk. So there that is. All right. It can be scary leaving. There's a lot of considerations. You absolutely bet. But no amount of financial security is worth it if your abuser is punching the wall next to your head, throwing things at you, screaming at you, using the kids as pawns, even in the relationship. Financially bankrupting you, spending every amount of money that you get on your paycheck for their stuff. That's not worth it. You are worth more. Your kids are worth more. And the message that you're sending your kids is, nope, not putting up with that. Nope. And neither should you. So there is that. Okay. Psychological abuse, the love bombing. I think we talked about that. They will go out of their way to build trust back in their partner. This is a premeditated plan, and it's a way to make the partner go, oh, I'm safe. So suddenly they become more reliable, more thoughtful, more devoted to expressing their affections, more responsible financially, and they're doing everything they can to get the partner's trust back. But what ends up happening is as soon as you are back in their orbit, they'll go right back to the ways that they were. Narcissists do not change. Leopard does not change its spots. It does not. They don't change. They will be that way until the cows come home. Okay. Hope for healing. Okay. Magic thinking. Oh, they called and they promised me they were going to change, or they promised me they were going to get a therapist. It never happens, guys. And if they do, they'll go to the therapist one, maybe three times, and then they'll declare that they're healed or that the therapist said they're not the problem. I can't tell you the number of times narcissists have tried to put words in my mouth. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, she said, duh, duh, duh. No, I didn't. No, I did not. So, where is this coming from? Do you see where I'm going with that? So, yeah, they will do all sorts of hinky things like that. And they appeal to that desire for everyone to be okay. Many of us who've been involved in abusive relationships have a very codependent relationship somewhere in our past with our family of origin. And so we want everybody to be okay and we want to fix everybody and we want everyone to just get along. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. So, again, how old are you when you're doing that magic thinking? Oh, well, maybe this time it'll be different. Nope. Nope. It won't. It'll be worse. Trust me. It'll be worse. So when you hear that, you're starting to fall for their line of BS. Oh, I'm gonna get a therapist. Oh, baby, I'll change. It'll be different this time. No, it won't. It's like they have a handbook. Seriously, everywhere in the world, no matter what language, no matter what culture, they all do the same exact BS, love bombing, lying crap with basically the same phrases. It's just amazing to me. Anyway, they're not. They're lying. So don't believe the magic thinking. You've got to figure out how old you are and work on that age that you're wanting to believe them. You've got to be the adult. You've got to let the adult you run the show. Nope. No, they've said this about 7 times before. Nope, we're done. Thanks. So yeah, that's what you've got to do. Okay, criticizing and manipulation. Because cycles that aren't broken can't heal, the abuser will eventually defer back to their old ways of handling relationships. When things are not going their way, they will begin to break down the bonds they've formed with their partner by tearing them down or manipulating them into acts of submission. Absolutely. So that is why leaving is so difficult. And that is why people leave and get out of it. And everybody's like, thank you, Jesus, only for them to go back. And it's not because they're weak. They're not. It's because you're dealing with an addiction. You're dealing with the intermittent positive rewards. You're dealing with psychological warfare on the part of the ex. You're dealing with lies, deception, cheating, stealing, rewriting history, appealing to your fondest desire. Oh, baby, I'll change. Oh, baby, I'll get a therapist. I'll work on us. Yeah, right. They appeal to the things you want to hear. They're con artists. They are the ultimate grifters. And the thing you have got to remember is they want you dead. That makes them so powerful in their minds because they're stupid and petty and they don't understand that, okay, well, if you kill all of your targets of abuse, where are you going to get your narcissistic supply? Because they certainly can't get it for themselves. So yeah, they're not real bright that way. So that is why leaving is so difficult. That's why it's that yo-yo effect. You leave and they leave you completely alone, say. They leave you completely alone. You don't hear from them or whatever, but you still have that intermittent positive rewards in your body, in your head. You play back constantly everything they've ever said to you because they do that intentionally to make us almost addict ourselves to them so that we're constantly thinking about them in our heads. That's why it's so important when you leave, you get them out of your head. You get with a good trauma therapist. You evict them. You write and burn letters. You put up a list of every rotten thing they've ever done to you so that when you're tempted, you can go back and go, oh, hell no. No, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So seriously, that is what you need to do. And be aware of the cognitive dissonance. When they start, literally, it's like putting an egg beater in your brain. That's what they do. Oh, baby, it'll be different and da-da-da-da. And here you have all this information going, no, it's not. No, it's not. But they start saying this thing that you desperately want. And pretty soon your brain is like fog and you're like, okay, it's cognitive dissonance. It's in a fog, and it's dangerous. And they will come back to you after you've left. So there's one of two scenarios. Either they leave you alone completely and you're left struggling with the after effects of the intermittent positive rewards, or you leave, they leave you alone for a little bit, but then when their newest supply runs out, they flip through their little black book and you're on the list and they call you. Hey baby, it's 2 a.m. and I was just thinking about you, or they text you or whatever. And it's on purpose because it's so funny. Inevitably, when they do that, it's when the target of abuse has kind of turned a corner and is like, wow, I'm feeling really good about myself. My self-esteem is starting to come back. I'm doing all the inner child work. And I can always tell when an abuser has come back into their life because we'll have a session. Oh no, I haven't done any of the homework. What's going on? And then they'll tell me, and they're afraid to tell me because they know what I'm going to say. It's like, this is what we talked about. This is dangerous. You can have them in your life if you want, but this is what will happen. So it's really important to get with a good therapist who's going to call you out on your BS, that is going to help you with the cognitive dissonance, and that's going to help you help yourself. Write out that list of everything they did to you to remind yourself, so that when you're tempted to return that text or to call them or whatever, especially because we got the holiday season coming up, people are afraid of being alone. People are afraid of, memories. People are afraid of whatever. And so they think they're going to get comfort from this ex. You're not. They don't care about anybody. They are literally me, I, more my genitals. That's all they care about. They have no empathy. They do not care. You are going to a well that is dry. And not only is it dry, it's salted. And not only is it dry and salted, it's also poisoned. Do not do that. You are worth more than that. So, all right. So I hope this helps people understand you're up against physiological, the intermittent positive rewards, the addiction, the dopamine dump. You're fighting against that. And you've got all of the psychological BS that they're doing, the love bombing, the shaming, the guilt tripping, the getting the flying monkeys against you, smearing you, fear, intimidation, blah, blah, blah. That's what they do. That's why it's so hard to leave. And that's why people go back hoping it's going to be different. It is not. It is not. I know you want it to be. I know. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice if we could wave a magic wand and the East Wing suddenly came back with all of the artifacts? But it's not. They're never going to change, guys. They don't have empathy. They are dedicated to destroying anybody and everybody around them that has something they don't. And what narcissists and dark triads do not have, they do not have empathy. They do not have love. Not the way you and I understand it. They do not have kindness. They don't automatically think about somebody else's comfort. They don't have the ability to look in the mirror and go, what's my part of this? They don't ever think about what they have said or done could possibly affect somebody else. They don't care. They don't care. And they're dangerous because they don't care. People are objects to them. We have no more meaning to them than the cell phone. And once that cell phone is obsolete, toss. That's what they do. That's what child abusers do. That's what Epstein did. Oh, you're older now. I can't use you anymore. Oh, you're not going to let me torture you into unconsciousness. Oh, well, bye. That's what they do. They don't care. We are objects to them. So you got to remember that. You're not dealing with a healthy, normal person. You're dealing with somebody who is a psychopath, who's a narcissist, and who's a control freak. And how dare you take their narcissistic supply away? Well, good for you. You just keep taking their narcissistic supply away. You get to live a good, healthy, happy life. And on that note, next week, we are going to be talking about calm and quiet, why that is so disturbing to survivors of abuse in the beginning. We have a real hard time with peace and quiet. So we're going to talk about why peace and quiet is so vital to our healing. So that's going to be next week. All right, I'm going to hit the questions. Don't go anywhere yet. All right. Are abusers consciously aware that they are using intermittent? No, no. They are like a predator. So if you've ever looked at a shark, they've got those dead eyes. If you've ever looked at a real psychopath, holy crap, they've got those dead eyes. And the only thing that they care about is they are looking at you to see how they can manipulate you. They're like a shark. They're like a shark. It's instinctual. And they literally, I think I've told you this, working in the homeless shelter, I've worked with a few sex offenders in there that I would not turn my back on. They constantly are just looking for ways to manipulate to try to find your weakness. And it's not like they sit down in the morning and go, I'm going to do intermittent positive rewards. They trial and error. They've learned that this works. And so they use it. So there's that. Okay. Is it common for a narcissist ex to try and contact you after many years after you left? Yes. My ex has been trying to find me and contact me after they got married, which was many years after we broke up. Yes, absolutely. 110%. I have had clients come in and tell me that 30 years later, 40 years later, their ex out of the blue texted them or called them or found them on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or any number of the social medias. So, yeah, absolutely. And they do this because generally, the good news is karma's a bitch. Eventually, they run out of supply. They've lost their looks, they've lost their youth, they've lost their money, they've lost their power, and they are not as easily able to attain narcissistic supply. So they, like I said, will go back through their little black book and they'll start calling exes from as far as 40 years ago. You betcha. They absolutely do that. And the thing to do is to block them. Do not even respond. Do not respond. Just block them. Just block them like you never saw it. Just block them. So yeah, they absolutely will do that. And they will do things like, "Oh, hey, is this my, my high school sweetheart?" Or, is this my girl? That kind of thing. Or is this my guy or whatever? And you just don't respond. You just block them. Just block them because there is nothing new that they are going to add except turmoil and chaos and drama. And y'all don't need that. So, nope, nope, nope. Okay. What does one do when they seriously can't afford therapy? Medicare doesn't cover and Social Security is barely enough. I would go to the library. I would ask them for the books that I recommend. Seriously, go to the library, ask them for the books that I recommend, and do what you can. Watch as many videos. Dr. Ramani is awesome. Susanna Quintana, Marsha Diane, me. There's tons of people out here that have been doing this for years. So you learn as much as you can. You read as much as you can. You can go to the library and get books for free. And if they don't have them, then what you're going to do is you're going to request that they get them because they're needed. So yeah, absolutely. So there is that. Are all abusers narcissists? Yes and no. So psychopaths, narcissists, malignant borderlines, when they all start down at a lower end of the spectrum, there's traits of, right? By the time they're adults, they're full blown. Okay. And they tend to start overlapping. So all of the cluster Bs start overlapping. So you're going to have strong traits of all of those. So yes, I do believe that all abusers are narcissists because they start overlapping. So they started off with with just psychopathy, but eventually it all starts overlapping and their ego starts getting huge because they've gotten away with it, and that's where they slip up, and thank God. So because their ego gets so huge, they think they can't be caught or that they won't face consequences or anything else like that. So yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that, they may not have started off with that diagnosis, but you have to be pretty narcissistic to think that you're God. think that it's okay to hurt somebody. And you have to be pretty narcissistic to think you're not going to get caught. So there that is. Okay, let's see. How far will an abuser go to isolate you? As far as they need to. They will start fights with your family. They'll move you thousands of miles away. They will threaten, intimidate, coerce, whatever. They'll convince you that your family is evil so that you don't talk to them, even though you had a really good relationship with them. Yeah, they will go to extremes to isolate you. Isolation is control. If they are the only input that you are getting, this is a cult, basically, it's a cult of one. If you are the only input that they are getting, then they have ultimate control. They can control what you hear, what you believe, what you listen to, information, news, etc. That's their goal, is they want to be everything to you so that they can dictate what you are processing. Because if you've got your family or your friends going, "Oh my god, this person is abusive. Can you see that they're doing that?" and you start questioning, that's starting to erode their power. They don't want that. That's why they isolate you. They don't want any other person having any sort of influence over you. They will do this to friends, they'll do this to family, teachers, organizations, jobs. I've seen them make their person quit their job because they didn't like that there was a modicum of agency or self-esteem being garnered from a job. And so they'll, "Oh, your boss is hitting on you and I don't like you working there and you need to leave," and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, they'll go to crazy, crazy, crazy extremes. Okay, is that it? I think that is it. All right, next week we are going to talk about peace and quiet. Why is it so important to get peace and quiet? No drama. And it's uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. It's like when you first leave an abusive relationship, it's going to be a little uncomfortable to have peace and quiet. And you're going to be like, "What?" But we need to talk about why abusers need constant drama, constant chaos, constant uproar, constant fights, constant whatever. So for us to heal, it's important to get out of those relationships because you cannot heal in the environment which harmed you. I mean, you can do a little bit, but it's really important to leave and then work on your own peace and understanding why it was such uproar all the time in your family of origin, in your relationship, whatever, and why it's hugely important for your healing to meditate, to take care of yourself, to have that peace and quiet. So we're going to talk about that. Yes, I am a huge fan of boring and uneventful too. Boy, do I miss Biden. Oh boy. Okay. All right, guys, you have a wonderful day. Share this video with as many people as you can. I don't know if the hype button is still on there or not, but please hit the hype button if you can. Tell people about it. Give it to people that need it. Tell your libraries to stock these books that we talk about so that people that don't have the funds can go help themselves. That would be good. Do donate to the food banks, and I will talk to you next week. So go be awesome. Bye.